I am officially cat sitting while doing this video, so I'm going to be moving around because the young little one, here he is, he's really active, and he's going to bug the big guy over there, and so let's entertain him. So on that note, when we have individuals who are 5D, the 5D person is a oneness consciousness human being. When I heard of that term, I got all excited because I was like, wow, it's oneness consciousness, Christ consciousness, it's unconditional love. And I learned about metaphysics, esotericism. I have these lovely clairs that we talk about. But 5D mystics, we know we're not anointed. And that's because we actually are functional adults emotionally. So we have our 6 basic emotions and our emotional body. And I'm very serious. This is very important to note. We don't have an issue with feeling. My biggest uncomfortable emotion is fear, but only because usually it will make me think I might physically die. So when you have the relationship with this sphere of Akash consciousness, and you've been spiritually awoken your entire life, and you figure out, oh, it's just human 101, you're like, wow, this is amazing. You know why it's amazing? Because I love being a person, and I've always wanted to just be able to help people to be their self, and now I know how to explain it. So the 5D collective are definitely the ones who are being like, wow, this is awesome. The ones who not, we're going to leave that one out for now. But that's where, let me go look at what I was going to share. So when it comes to spirituality, consciousness, and modern science, we have lovely discussions happening. Sadhguru gets to talk to people like Dr. Loris, and he's a neuroscientist, if I remember correctly. He's also going to be Sadhguru at Harvard in a very important conversation or conference, and it's going to be like a course hours. Anybody who does college will know what course hours mean. And I did a master's and a bachelor's, so I'm like, I'm not in college anymore, and it costs a lot of money. Might as well get another educational certificate, because I'm sure that I'll be able to hear something along the lines of what the conference has to say. But what I'm excited about, especially with this new moon, is figuring out how to tell everybody the good news, which is you don't need to do yoga. You don't even need spirituality, basically, to be spiritually awakened. It is actually the human being you who gets to get into a relationship, though, with your 6 basic emotions. Now, here's the deal, though. I noticed from all of my somatics and trauma-informed courses that most people don't seem to be aware that drama and teenage land is an indication of you having charged states and not really actually moving into integration of the brain. You know, when you're up in that shower in the morning saying, I'm going to tell Bill the piece of my mind. Thank you, Patrick Tiahan. He's a childhood trauma survivor and a therapist, and he's officially healed and healing. He continues to heal, of course, but he has a great community, and he tells people, that is, the people who are doing the work, how hard it is, one, to cancel. It's not something you actually take lightly, and that's every good therapist will tell you. Nobody's going to be like, let me block you right now because you said something I didn't like. No. The cancel culture are adaptive children who don't know how to handle effectively responding, because once they get pissy because a friend or whatever it is that you see, you know, Mean Girls, just watch any movie. I mean, they show you adaptive child behavior all over the place. So here's where I'm really excited, because, you know, I was a teenager. I was like, wow, these are all dramatic people. And I even got called emotionless. And I'm like, no, I have emotions. I actually feel a lot of emotions, but I'm not sure why I'm making it so hard to be alive right now. And lo and behold, human suffering. But these are not people who actually end up in a therapist room. So they're not people who actually have the degree of childhood trauma. And again, some actually do. But they think that it's okay to treat people like shit because they actually watch enough movies that make it seem that evil and the devil exist. Oh yes, that's right, that part. And so it's amazing when you're a mystic and you know you move beyond a lot of things in modern science, like physics and neuroscience explains what consciousness is, and then you do have clairs and you're able to understand what they're talking about and then explain it to people. So here's where I told lovely God about why I didn't believe in evil or the devil, and it wasn't because I didn't see what was happening in the world. It was because I learned a lot about psychology, and everything led me to understand what human suffering is. So when Sadhguru says if somebody does something nasty, they're nasty inside, yeah, but you know what? It's sad. because they're in a dysregulated or modulated embodied experience. They have unresolved trauma. They might have been treated like a punching bag. Maybe they went home to an alcoholic parent. Maybe they, I don't know, they didn't have money. Maybe there's a lot of maybes, and there's a lot of stuff that happens in our lovely globe that people who don't care about being a human, and in fact they're not here for the human race, apparently they all don't want to be human. So it's very fascinating when said you're like, I'm a human and I'm imperfect, here I am, and then you realize, oh wait, so emotional maturity simply means, thank you Patrick Tiahan, let's go to him, ignoring online opinions is empowered self-care. Yes, some of us actually have basically been empowered our entire lives. And that's simply because it's okay to have the big S. Now, I don't say the big S because I think of it as that, but apparently all of the therapists that I've learned about trauma and somatics and everything informed, they say that the body of every person, and I'm like, not every person, 5D collective mystics, they're okay with sadness. It's a primary emotion, and it actually processes our charges. And as long as you're not ruminating, so thinking about, oh, I'm going to beat you up because you said some nasty thing I didn't like, and just, wow, that's so sad that, you know, this stuff happened. It's a very straightforward equation. So I kind of have to laugh right now because what I see personally is that when I think of spirituality, and I do love Sadhguru, but I think of spirituality, consciousness from lovely neuroscience, and Patrick McNamara is someone that I'm thinking about, and then modern science, like, your integration of the brain, thank you, Daniel Siegel. Daniel Siegel is my favorite. I learned everything I needed to learn about how the brain works from him and how the mind works and in relationships. In fact, it's very straightforward. So, of course, this is only one dum-dum's opinion. Please take it as food for thought, shall you? And as I was trying to say, when you're truly self-empowered, it's because in your heart of hearts, you're like, yeah, so I don't know everything, you don't either. And when we hear people like Sadhguru speak about, what was it? The one about mistakes. Let me go find that one. That's my favorite, because you know how many people follow Sadhguru and they don't even know how to be aligned yet in their physical, energetic, mental body, hold their values, yeah, let's see about that one, and the heart body. So once you have no problem making mistakes, admitting them, and correcting them, hardly any mistakes will happen. So some people, we actually don't mind making mistakes to the extent of why we don't really have an issue with people who make comments. And so here's where Patrick Tiahan actually wrote the meme about ignoring online opinions is empowered self-care. And since he's a therapist and he does know about emotional maturity, I enjoy being able to share his wisdom. And here's what he wrote. He's like, we've all been there. Someone leaves an ignorant comment, ooze hate, misunderstanding, or worse, just wants to be contradictory for the sake of it. We respond, it's on our minds and an irritation. We keep going back to see if the other person responded. They did. Oh boy, now it's on. Then we are in it and no longer present. In our lives, he says, we step into triggering situations, often forgetting that we have a choice not to. Our inner child was often dismissed, silenced, and ashamed of having a voice. Now, as adults, we feel the need to fight battles due to the trauma, but we don't. I often see, he says, my clients, and including myself, while I was doing my work, that we confuse wisely, ignoring or walking away with weakness. It's one of the top tier trigger beliefs. I think, and he says, and overly defending ourselves or our values can often leave us activated. We also forget that whether we fight someone online or ignore them, they stay the same. So he is somebody who knows what the word trigger means, and he knows how to teach people to navigate their nervous system. And here's where spirituality, and when you do yoga, it actually works your ventral vagal nervous system, and then mindfulness actually works your cortex, which is why you start to learn how to use your brain. But the part about your left and right mode of the brain, that is where the tricky bit gets into trickiness, because it is where people don't really love people. So when they're in a nasty situation, how do they treat each other? And that's where mindful relationship instead, and relationships come for those who are 5D. So Zen masters know how to have an integrated brain and a restorative embodied self and selves. That's my 5D collective. Stay tuned for more. And in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed. I know I did a little bit of this and that, but that's the point. I'm trying to connect those dots, and I'm sure my 5D collective is appreciative, and we'll be back with more.